Hi, welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green.
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
And we are here today with Audrey Bell-Kearney. Audrey, Miss Kearney,
Hey sis, how you doing?
Hey
is a
y'all,
fellow
how y'all doing?
podcaster. She is president of the Gwinnett Women's Chamber of Commerce. You are a busy lady.
I am, man. I am. I'm trying not to be so
Can you
busy
tell
in
us about
24.
this? Can you tell us about this new endeavor that you are a part of?
Absolutely. So one of the things I'm excited about for 2024 is a new initiative that we're starting. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm big into tech. Like I love technology. And it's so crazy because I had to think back to where that came from. When I was in high school and school in general, math and science were my favorite subjects, right? Nobody told me I could go into tech. Nobody told me I could be an engineer. So I went to school to be an accountant, and that did not work out for me. So fast forward to today, I started designing websites probably back in 19. I was telling somebody this today. I'm really dating myself. 1994, I think it was. It was when they had Microsoft Front Page. So for all of the web developers out there back then, Front Page was a thing to have. So I'm
Yeah.
a tech person, but one of the things I'm excited about is this initiative. It's called UpSkill To Uplift, and it was something that I thought about. I was designing a chat bot for. I have two business partners, and we were launching a platform for people over 50 who wanted to start a business. They were coming out of corporate America, or they would just want to do something different. So I was creating this super chat bot. I call it a super chat bot because it asks you all these different questions. So I'm sitting there, I'm programming the chat bot and training the chat bot to do all these things and ask all these questions to that person who may be coming out of corporate or somebody who's just really looking to change directions, right? So I'm programming it, training it on all this data. By the time I got finished, I must have spent about 7 days training the AI on like entrepreneurship, right? And the questions that you should ask a new entrepreneur, especially when it's like 50 or older. And after I did that, I had an epiphany. I was like, we could train people how to do chatbots. Now, why is that important? It's important because automation is where most of small businesses are going, right? Automating their business, using smart tools, chatbots, things like that to help them be more productive and more efficient in their business. So everybody don't want to learn how to do that. And so people say, well, Audrey, they can just go sign up for one of these programs, and they could. But here's what I know for a fact, y'all. People can sign up for almost anything. I have a couple of clients. I started doing flyers for them way back in the day. Way back, right? Till this day, they will call me for a flyer. And I'll say stuff like, hey, they got Canva right now. And it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that, Audrey. I don't want to go over there trying to figure out do Canva. So people, even though they can go and pay a service to do it for them, a lot of times they don't want to. Not only that, being able to be a chatbot engineer is going to allow that person to either get a job or to start a business. So that's why that's important. So the UpSkill To Uplift is a two-pronged initiative. One part is chatbot engineering. The other part is teaching them how to become a solar, like solar panels, solarpreneur. And why did I think that was important? Well, under our current administration right now, there is an incentive for homeowners to change their energy to solar energy. If you change your energy to solar energy, you get like a $9,000 credit, right? So I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. So are you telling me
Isn't it expensive? But isn't this solar
Panels and all that?
isn't that expensive to like get into?
When you say get into, you mean as an entrepreneur? Like your computer sticking. So if you mean as an entrepreneur, no, it's not, because there's a company that we're partnering.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's a company that we're partnering with, and one of their goals is kind of similar to mine. That is to uplift our communities, especially communities that are marginalized, right? Because a lot of times there's not a lot of job opportunities in some of these places, whether it be an inner city or a rural country town. There are not a lot of job opportunities. And so people kind of feel like they're stuck. They don't feel like there's a way out for them. So with this initiative, it's very affordable. And one of my criteria was, especially for the chatbot engineering, this is set up for anybody to do it. If you are on public assistance, whether that be SNAP or whatever service is in your state, you can still be a part of this at a very inexpensive a cost. What I want to do is get with government officials to get some legislative passed where we can create a fund just for this. So now people don't have to struggle to pay the little money that's required. So to your question, getting into solar panels is not expensive as an entrepreneur. $99 is all it costs you. And then you go in there and you take some trainings and you get certified by the company. So it's really inexpensive. They don't check background. So you don't need to have like a certain kind of degree. You don't need to be from a certain class of people. None of that stuff matters. What you need to be able to do is be able to take those trainings, be coachable, and learn how to understand what solar is all about, and then go out there and show the homeowners how they can save money on the energy bill. Now, I get questions like, well, Audrey, what if I don't want to put solar panels on my house? You don't have to, not right now, but I guarantee you'll remember the day when I said this. Remember back in the day when they said, hey, you need to go out and buy a digital converter for your TV. You guys remember that? If you don't buy it, you're going to see snow cross your TV. And most people, I'm not buying a digital converter. Well, don't buy it. You just won't be able to see TV. Sustainable energy is going to be the same way. And so I hear people say things like, I wouldn't get it. It's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So right now, the president
is saying solar panels are going to be the same way?
The exact same way, because right now, well, let me say this. It'll be the same way if we keep an administration that thinks the way our administration thinks right now, right? That our environment is in trouble. Okay. If we keep an administration that think that our environment is in trouble and clean, sustainable energy is important, yes. If we don't keep an administration like that, probably not. But there are more of us out here who want to make sure that we have a planet to live on. Hey, listen, go to space all you want. I'm cool with that. I'm just not trying to go to Mars. I want to keep this planet good so we can stay down here. And the way to do that is to make sure that we have clean energy.
Right.
Look, we still discovering stuff on planet Earth. Why we want to go explore someplace else? Let's try to figure out all this stuff right here. Hello.
But a lot of people
tell us.
Go ahead,
sis. Go ahead. We got a lag. We live, girl. This technology. Go ahead.
I know. I was just going to say that, there are a lot of people. It's crazy because sometimes people are so busy with their own lives, they miss a lot of things, right? And so you say, why are we trying to go to space? Because we're destroying the Earth. That's why. And so people with the money, they can get on a spaceship and fly themselves to Mars. It takes 240 days. They'll be able to do it. But for the rest of us who cannot spend $20 million on a flight to Mars, we're stuck on Earth. So why not try to make where we are right now the best place we can possibly be? So, my goal here is two-pronged. One, to keep our communities viable, to employ economic development, to empower people to have a better life, to help them learn how to leverage all these tools to do that, and to keep our environment safe and clean.
Okay. That's right. We only got two places to live, our bodies and this planet. And like you said, we're not taking care of either very well. So I agree with you. That's kind of like my mission as well, to take care of our bodies and take care of our planets. I want you to repeat again your program and the dates. I know you said it was two-pronged in that first prong. Can you jump into the second element that you want to share and include the dates and how people can get involved with it?
Sure. So the initiative is called UpSkill To Uplift. UpSkill To Uplift.com. It's a two-pronged initiative. Anybody can go to the website. They can decide whether or not they want to learn how to become a chatbot engineer, where they can start to learn how to train chatbots. And that's important because there are going to be a lot of companies that's going to need you to come on board and be able to train and monitor chatbots for their company so they can have a streamlined and more efficient company. That's one side. If you say, no, I don't want to do that side. And here's the thing, you don't have to know how to code. You don't need a degree. You just need to be able to sit still and learn the things that you're going to be taught. That's what you're going to need. If you decide, you know what, I don't want to do that side, Audrey, I really don't like technology, I'm afraid of AI for whatever reasons, I think I want to help with the environment. I want to learn how to be a solopreneur. a solopreneur, you will enroll in the program. You're going to get training on how to go out, share information about solar panels, why that's important, and show people how to look at their house and their energy bill, so now they can become they can have more efficient at home with these solar panels. And so it's 2 simple programs, don't take long to learn, don't take long to get into. If you decide to be a chatbot engineer, you can, let me tell y'all something. One of the things in the Chatbot Engineer program that they learn is how to become a prompt engineer, right? When ChatGPT first came out last year in November, everybody lost their mind. Like, we had never heard of it. Now, what was interesting about that, I didn't even know that I was doing this. I started doing AI training back in 2014, I think it was, because my podcast is on Alexa, right? So I created an Alexa skill for my podcast. That's all AI. Okay. I had no idea. So I went on there. I developed my little AI for Good Morning Gwinnett, not knowing that's what I was doing. I was just like, I just need to be on Alexa. So I want to, some people say, hey, Alexa, play Good Morning Gwinnett, and it will play. I didn't know that's what I was doing. So I did that years ago. Then I started doing it for other people. So that was probably 2014-ish, I think. When you look at where we are right now, that technology has changed so much. When ChatGPT hit the scene, which made it open to like the world, to become a prompt engineer, the jobs are starting at $300,000 in a span of a few months. Like, nobody knew what the heck a prompt engineer was.
Wow. And what I got to do again? Wait,
you just got to learn how to. $300,000. That's what the job. We were like 300. It was crazy, but nobody knew what it was. So they're gonna learn how to become a prompt engineer while becoming a chatbot engineer. That's going to be important, because you need to know exactly how to train a chatbot. You need to say certain things. It needs to be worded the right way. Here's the thing: once you're done, you can say, you know what? I want to go get a job, or I want to start a business. You'll have either path you can decide to take on that.
What are the business prospects for someone completing this program? How would they get clients?
And how long is the program?
So the program is 4 weeks. Both of them are 4 weeks. When you look at the business side, it's just like starting any other business. You go through the program to actually learn how to do the actual training itself. Takes about 7 days, right? And so, let me say that it took 7 days for me, because I was doing 9 million other things. But it doesn't take that long. You get the training. You're going to get some basic 101 for starting a business. But you have to, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to go apply to be a job, I want to be an entrepreneur, you got to go all in, which means 4 weeks is not going to be enough. We're going to give you the basics, and you got to keep doing everything else in that space to become an entrepreneur. So the program itself is 4 weeks, but your entrepreneurship is going to be more like 4 years, because you're going to be learning as you go. Not only that, tech changes a lot. So if you decide to go the route of becoming an entrepreneur, you also need to know that tech changes a lot. So you got to stay up on your game. Now, I will say this. My hopes is that people will start out in the chatbot engineering space, but they'll also say, you know what, I want to go a little bit deeper. I want to know about EVs. I want to know how to get into the space where I'm programming electric cars. That's happening. I don't know if you guys know, but over in Peachtree Corners, Curiosity Labs, that's over there in Peachtree Corners, they got a whole road over there with the autonomous cars that just drive around. Right in Peachtree Corners. Like, there's nobody, it's just the AI driving the car.
Yeah, no,
somebody has to know how to program those cars. So what I'm hoping is that we get them through the part 1 of this, but they get so intrigued that they say, you know what, I want to learn more, and they keep going. This is just a stepping stone to what could be possible.
Okay. So UpSkill to Uplift.
UpSkill.com. UpSkill.
UpSkill to Uplift.com.
UpSkill
is where someone would go to be able to find out more about this program.
Yes.
So it's UpSkill.
SKILL. Yes, because we want to make sure people
we got to
upskill. Like, they don't know if they're like in a place where they say, you know what, I'm feeling hopeless. Like, there's no hope for me. We want to give them hope. We want to be able to let them upskill from where they are, and that's going to uplift them.
Okay. And so 4-week program, they can learn to become chatbot engineers. You didn't say engineers. You
I did. Chatbot Engineers.
It was something else that you learned.
No, I said Chatbot Engineers and then Solarpreneurs.
Solarpreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And before we go ahead.
UpSkill. No, girl. I'm trying to make sure we look. I got to get it right. I can't see. UpSkill
to Uplift.
Uplift. Right. Change that.
UpSkill to Up. See, this is what happens when you got people.
But this is live, girl. Look, this is and look, talk about how you show all of us about podcasting. Am I the right person? Yeah. All right.
Yes.
You got to look.
UpSkill to Uplift.
Did I do it right?
Nope.
Dang, I still didn't do it right. Edit. Girl, look.
Let me tell y'all quick. So let me tell y'all quick story how they figured it out. So I was doing a live interview with somebody, right? It was so funny. I was doing a live interview. I was interviewing this woman in the tech space. She had came up with some kind of app that was really cool, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm doing the live, and what happened was my phone went off and it vibrated and hit the floor. And because we love our phone, what happened to me was it hit the floor and I dropped out of the frame and picked it up and bounced back up. And I remember, oh crap, Audrey, you're live. I'm sure she probably was thinking, what are you doing? I dropped completely out the frame and picked it, popped right back in. So stuff like that happens. Stuff like that happens.
You did a Beyonce. Remember when Beyonce fell? What's wrong your hair?
Yep. So it did.
Live.
Yep. That's what happened when you live, girl.
That's what happens.
So I want you to also, you are like full of talent. You have done so many things for magazines, TV, podcasts, author. That's what I want you to talk about. You writing books, because a sister girl trying to write a little something. And I know you have a book to help those of us that are interested in self-publishing. So people may not know that you are an author as well. So tell everybody a little bit about your background with that, Queen.
Yeah, so I started, we wrote our first book. It was a joint venture with me and two of my business partners in 1998. So I've been doing this a very long time. And one of my business partners is still my business partner to this day. As a matter of fact, we're about to do a new venture right now. But we wrote our first book back in 1998. It was called The Cookbook to Romance. So we used to mastermind every Sunday at 2:30. It was like 6 of us women. We had an office. Everybody would come to my office and we would mastermind, because masterminds are powerful. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a little book called Think and Grow Rich, but if you have not, it's one of the oldest business books around and one of the most powerful. And they talk about creating masterminds. Somebody got mine,
never brought it back.
Listen, go get you a new one, because it's still a very powerful book. We used to mastermind every Sunday. And one Sunday, 3 of us stayed behind, was like, we need to make some money. We should write a book. And they were like, well, what's the book going to be about? We was like, let's make it about sex, because, sex sells. This is exactly what we said in 98. Sex sells. And we sat back down after the mastermind and we thought about this book, and we called it The Cookbook to Romance. Now, it was a really, really cool book. And it was funny because compared to where we are today, it was like almost PG, y'all. But we didn't feel like that. So we didn't even put our names on the book. We put all pseudonyms. So my name was Dominique Pierre on the book. Yes. My name was Dominique Pierre on the book. So my daughter's first name is Dominique. So I took her name. One of the authors' name was Nikki Jordan, and the other one name was Amanda Rochelle. Those were our pen names on the book. So we wrote the book. That's what the book was under. And we took it to, so one of the young ladies, she went to a church, and she's like, I don't know if my pastor's gonna like it. The pastor was like, you should have put your real name on the book, because we need to have this book in church. It was hilarious. So they redid the book. I didn't redo it with them, but we started back in 98. So up until now, I think I've authored 7 or 8 books. I kind of lost count, but books back then were a way for you to show that you were an authority, right? And they still are, because they take a lot more work. I can tell you though, with the advancement in AI, I see opportunities for entrepreneurs in the children's space. Because of AI, I feel like you can tell stories quicker, more powerful, more colorful because of AI. So if you got children authors who are thinking about becoming authors, that is a great space. I feel like right now, there are people that are using AI to write books. So it's a lot simpler than it was back then. That being said, you're going to have a lot more books on the market. And Amazon is saying if you write that book with AI, you're gonna have to make it known that you wrote it with AI. So there's opportunities out there right now. But books are still very powerful. We did a book.
That's good to know, because you thinking that. Go ahead.
No, you froze. I missed what you said. Like you froze. I didn't hear what you said. I heard good to know, and that's all I heard.
Oh.
It was good to know that Amazon is requiring people to say that they wrote their book with AI, artificial intelligence.
Now that's on the back end. They're not making it public yet. But when you go in there, I had a client that I walked through writing. She put out a journal last month, I think it was. And when I went to put it in Amazon for her, it was a button there that says, was this made with AI? And you had to click the button. Now, here's the thing. Somebody's going to try to think that they can scam Amazon, and Amazon won't know. Amazon will know if that book was AI written, because they have the technology to know that it's AI written. So if you do write a book and you use AI, just check the box, because Amazon will kick you off their platform in a New York minute. So if you have used Amazon to write your book, just check the box. Because here's the thing. People want the stories anyway. AI is just going to, there are some people that are mad. They say, it's taking away creativity. For me, I feel like my mind is expanded, because I ask a question and it gives me 25 answers for one question, things that I didn't even think about. So, you know, if you write the book using Amazon AI, just check the box. Otherwise, your book is going to get kicked off the platform.
And what difference is that when you do prompts? You may even get a journal that has prompts to help your thought process. That's how I see it.
It's not the same, because AI will actually write an entire story for you.
I understand, but what I'm saying is, those of us who really want to be authentic may need somebody to help us get started. So while I'm not going to use a whole book, because it's not going to be able to tell my many different responses to one question. Now I could take bits and pieces and say, oh, I like that phrase. Let me expand upon it, or trash that, because that's not even in my vocabulary.
And here's the thing with the AI, because I've looked at it before, is that the way that it phrases sentences, the way that it structures paragraph is different from how you speak.
That's what I was trying to say. Not my vocabulary, but that's just not something I normally would say. So you do need to make sure, but that's what I'm saying. It can help you, especially if you get stuck on what to say, especially like, I don't think young people know how to write either.
They don't.
Hey, we love y'all young people. We love you. We love you. But I mean, some people just don't know how to write. And I think it's a good tool.
It's a great tool. I want to say this too. Like the ChatGPT as it is right now, and it's like the way it is right now. If you go to ChatGPT like 4, and you get 4 when you upgrade to like $20 a month, if you go in there, they have plugins and they have apps right now that will write just like a human. Like it'll ask you, what's the tone of this writing? And you click it. I want it to be emotional. I want it to be inspiring, and it will write that way. So the platform is amazing. That's why the chatbot engineering program is so important, because if you, Karen, you're an attorney, right? Let's say you just wanted to start tutoring, future attorneys, or, helping them out. You can create a whole chatbot system that they can run through before they get to you, because you're busy. They can go through your chatbot assistant first, your smart assistant, get all the questions answered. And by the time they do that, come back to you, now they're ready. You can say, yeah, you got to do these things first before you come to me, because I don't have a lot of time because I'm in court. I don't have a lot of time because I got clients, but you want me to support you and help you go through this part first. And that's important. So the tools are amazing. When it first came out, it was very robotic. It's not robotic now. You can barely tell if someone actually wrote something, barely. What I will say is, you want to make sure that when it writes for you, it's kind of like what you want to say. But I could tell you right now, I write articles sometimes, and I was like, I could never even thought to write that way. I couldn't. Like some of the stuff it comes up with, it's like amazing.
I know.
Like, oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. some schools, some colleges are really digging in about the AI because students have been using them, and they have software that can tell if the student has used AI to either for an essay or a paper. So that part is challenging with young people who may not have the same level of an opportunity to be creative that we we had back in the day.
Some people are going to take advantage of it,
yes,
and not
absolutely.
use it for a starting tool. Is going to use it. Well, I don't feel like doing a job, so let me go on and get this
and write the whole paper. I can
go, no, we don't want y'all to do that. Use it to help you get started, but don't let it take away from your own creativity and being true to yourself.
Yeah.
It's just an enhancement. It should never replace you. You know.
Right.
So I also want you to talk about, did you say the dates that people can what's coming up for January? Did you say that?
The academy, the UpSkill to Uplift launches February 4th. That launches February 4th. In January, we have
February
the Georgia AI Summit. So the Georgia AI Summit is January 19th. Thank you to Atlanta Tech Park. That's our partner over in Peachtree Corners. That is going to be a full day of just tech people, like robotic engineers, AI engineers, cybersecurity, and AI. Like, if you want questions to your answers to your questions, you need to be in that room. The people that are in that room are amazing. They live in this stuff. I dabble in it. They live in it every day. That's what they do. If you want to start a business, an AI business, there's a gentleman there. His company does that for you. So he's one of our panelists. He's one of our speakers, and that's what his company do. They develop AI software for people to have some skin in the game. Here's the thing about that, right? Back in the day, it used to be really, really, really expensive to get any kind of software developed, like really expensive. Now today, you can get software done for practically a couple $1,000s and be a tech entrepreneur right out the gate. It's amazing. So his company develops SaaS products for people leveraging AI. So you want to be in that room. Robin, who is our keynote speaker, she actually owns the entire Peachtree Atlanta Tech Park Center. She owns the building. She owns the entire thing. She holds 17 patents. So if you want to know how to use these tools to not only make your business grow, make your community grow. If you're a community leader, if you are in economic development, you want to be in that room because you get to ask the questions that you need to ask. If you're in a city and it's not a smart city and you're a community leader, don't you want your city to be a smart city? Because otherwise you're going to get left behind. I can't stress this enough. I talk about tech a lot, but I can't stress it enough because sometimes we glaze over things thinking it's going to go away. This won't go away. This is not going away. And you know it's not going away when you got the federal government pumping money out into these spaces. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to grow. There's a robot right now. I watched him the other night. I forgot his name. The robot was dancing. He was doing a running man. He was doing all kinds. He was doing like what's this dance? He was doing that. The robot was doing all kinds, and then he did a backflip.
The WAP? I don't know.
I was like, what? And so they're getting smarter.
The robot
and the thing was doing all kinds of dances. He was dancing, and they have conversations. I just saw one the other day. They did a press release with the robot, asking it questions, and she was like, "Well, I feel like we can be more efficient because we don't have emotions like humans."
That's
kind of scary.
The one thing I can see robot
that is
the one thing I can see the benefit for when I think about our families, how we have aging parents and we become caregivers, to have an AI available. So slip and fall. I have a family member in Illinois, and their elder fell. They were at work, and so they were in this position for over an hour. If they didn't make it to the house, and for some reason they just happened to stop by, and they found this person in the bathroom and couldn't get up. But if an AI robot or someone was there to alert the authorities and get the family, because not everybody has that life alert thing, and then a lot of the elders won't wear them. Right, because they don't want to lose their independence. So, but I can see that being very, very helpful in that space for people who have aging parents that they still have to work, they can't afford caregivers, and they may be able to have someone AI in the home with them, a robot.
Nanny cams.
Girl, okay.
And you know, the other thing
if they
about
be in
that
the room, you
too
gotta
is
have it
that
in the bathroom too.
the other thing you could think about that makes a whole lot of sense. Think about this for a second. Somebody has to program those robots. Like they're gonna be very useful. They can't well, not yet. They're gonna be able to program themselves, but
it's true.
a human
This
has to
is
program
true
them
until they
right
get so
now.
smart that they'll program.
Yep. So
right
that's
now,
a great use of technology, Kat. What you just said. I don't know. You might want to edit that part out and hide it. I'm just saying.
Or give it to our kids, girl. Let them do it. Look, but yeah.
I love that. But I love this. So could they find out about this conference on the UpSkill To Uplift.com website?
No, so the Georgia AI Summit, they can find out more about that on the Gwinnett Women's website. So you can go to GeorgiaAISummit.com, GeorgiaAISummit.com. January 19th.
Georgia AI Summit.
Full day. Thank you to Gwinnett County for being one of our sponsors. We appreciate you as well. Economic Development, that is. Thank you to Economic Development for Gwinnett County for being one of our sponsors. Appreciate you.
Say your website again for the summit.
GeorgiaAISummit.com.
Is Georgia?
Georgia is spelled out. Mm-hmm.
All right. AI Summit.
So to our fellow podcasters, technology is real. You got to be ready. When technology don't go your way, you still got to run a fabulous show and have a great time, and don't let it stop you. So one thing I know I wanted to ask you, I call Audrey Guru, you know, the guru. Out of all that you've been doing this since the 90s, how do you become that or that experience where you make this shift and dig my heels in and go forward? What was that experience that catapulted you into the woman where you are right now?
So for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Newark. I was born here in Georgia, but I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. So I always give credit to Newark, but pretty much and my mom for making me the person I am, because you had to be tough to grow up in Newark, and my mom was tough. So she was tough and I grew up tough. So I always go back to my roots and say thank you to that experience, right? So it started there, but it was a lot of my mom. And then it was a lot once I discovered entrepreneurship. Like I was a smart girl, right? Like I was always this smart girl, but I got kicked out of college. And my mom said, don't tell anybody that. I was like, why? It's my story. You know, I was smart. They sent me to college to do something that I did not like, being a smart girl. So it didn't make sense. So when I learned about entrepreneurship, the first thing I called it my first real business. It wasn't my first business. It was my first real business. So my partner, Georgette, she's one of my good friends. I call her my big sister. We invented the first plus size fashion dolls. That was the very first thing I did. So I became an inventor, right? Go figure. I became an inventor, and that kind of launched me. That didn't kind of launch. That launched me into entrepreneurship for real. Like we had to learn how to raise money, do business plans, manufacture overseas. Like we had to learn all of that. We didn't know a thing. And we ran that company for 5 years. And then Georgette's husband worked for Fox TV at the time. They moved to Texas. I was still in Jersey, and we dissolved the company at that point. But then I started to become I became a consultant for Ruckus Small Business Development Center. And so I was helping other entrepreneurs because now I had some, some experience under my belt. Here I am, I manufactured in Hong Kong. I did business plans. So I know how to raise money. I did all these things. And so that pushed me into entrepreneurship, and I just loved it. And I got into media because the dolls came out and somebody wrote a story about it in Heart and Soul magazine. I don't know if you guys remember that magazine, Heart and Soul. And I got a call at midnight saying, girl, you in the magazine. Yeah, so I ran out to buy the magazine, went into a copy store to make some copies, and this guy was launching a newspaper. So here I am, an entrepreneur. I was like, look, they just wrote this story about me. I want to write a story. I want to write for your newspaper. And he said, okay, you can write about entrepreneurship. And I did. Then I became the editor. So that's what got me into media. And I love media. I just stayed here. I went into traditional radio. I had 2 shows in Jersey. I had one called the Ask Audrey Show, and I had a show on a different radio station called Women in Business Today. And then when podcasting came out, I think about that time, my husband and I moved to North Carolina, and it was in full boom at that point. And I was like, well, I can still do this thing kind of like radio with this podcasting thing. So I started podcasting about 2009. So all of that stuff has made me who I am today. You know, it's kind of interesting though. I just recently realized I caught myself doing all this to build a legacy. And I think this is a conversation that a lot of parents, entrepreneurs should have with their children. I got one daughter, one granddaughter. I've been working for 27, 26 years,
Okay.
right? Building this legacy for my daughter, only for her to say to me, I don't want that. She goes, you work too hard. You don't have any balance in your life. I don't want that. So I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I can't do what
I don't
you
want
do.
that.
I can't do that.
You know, and I said, so I had to think about that. So I was like, okay, so I guess I'm building my company to sell it now, because she says, you know, it's too much for her. She said, I wouldn't run it right. I would lose it. And I wouldn't want to do that. So I said, okay, well, I guess I'll build it to sell and put the money in a trust for you and the baby. So now it's not about legacy anymore. I only have one. You know, I have 2 nephews and a niece, and they both play sports, so they don't care about business, you know. And so my niece, she's in corporate America. She doesn't care about business, so I don't have anybody else. So now I'm building to scale and sell. So yeah. I think that's a conversation though, like a lot of parents should definitely have with their children, because you know, you don't want to work 20-something years, your finger to the bone, and your kids really don't want that thing. It's not their dream.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of parents don't understand, like that build these businesses and, you know, create stores, create funeral homes, whatever the business is, and they want to add the children onto it. But the children was like, that's what you wanted. I didn't want that. That's not what I thank you for the life that it provided for us, but I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a conversation, because how else are we going to create generational wealth if we don't get the generations to continue the wealth?
And that's a problem.
And I do want you to talk a little bit about your podcast and teaching people. Oh, you know, so let me rephrase this question. We always ask all of our guests, and you have so much on your plate. Even your daughter said, Mama, you do way too much. You don't have time for nothing. How do you manage your mental well-being? You knew that was coming, girl.
So yeah, and you know what's funny? So to my daughter, it's a lot, right? Because she's very structured. Now here's the funny thing about her. She's an IT engineer, right? That's what she is. She's an IT engineer, but she likes going to work and getting off at 2:30, and her day is done. So for her, it looks like I do a lot. I don't do a lot like I used to. I love what I do, so I don't hardly ever turn it off. So for me, handling my mental is me taking Fridays off and doing nothing but watching Ancient Aliens all day. That's my mental, right? Taking Sundays off, you know, watching Hallmark. And I know some people like, oh my God. So that's about the most TV I watch outside of YouTube. I watch YouTube at night when I'm going to bed every night. My husband, I cut the TV off one night early, y'all. He goes, what's that? I said, what? He said, the TV goes off. It was hilarious. He's a jokester. He said, the TV goes off. It was so funny. So for me, it's that type of stuff. And just being with my family and friends. I got to tell y'all this. I grew up in Newark. I love to play spades. I love playing spades.
And I do you smack the card on somebody's forehead and be like, what? Damn.
I love playing spades, and I bowl in a league on Thursday. So I try to have some time that's not about work. So on Thursdays, my husband and I, my good friend, we bowl in a league. And then whenever I can find some spades partners, I play spades because I love playing spades. Like I Christmas was here, we had everybody at the house, and of course they already knew. My brother goes, "You gonna play spades?" Of course I am. They won't play with two hands, but I'll be happy with them two hands. So I just do things that I like. I love magazines. I've always loved magazines. So I got stacks and stacks of magazines. So I just take time and just go through all my magazines, 6-7 magazines over the weekend, and then I trash those. So that's what I do for myself. Now, I plan on traveling more this year. In I think it was 21, I did a lot of traveling. I went to Arizona, spent some time in the desert with my daughter. I was going through a lot in 21. That's when I lost my mom. As a matter of fact, today is the 3-year anniversary of my mom passing from COVID. She passed 2021 on January 5th. So today was an interesting day because I didn't feel sad. I went to the Atlanta Black Chambers kickoff. And so if you guys have never done anything with the ABC, they do everything big, y'all. It was beautiful. And so it kept my spirits up. And people didn't even know that I was going through because it was such a great event. And so I didn't feel sad. My brother was like, yeah, I try not to think about it. But we went to Sedona in 21 because we were just going through it. And I spent some time in the desert. So if you've never gone to Sedona, don't go there thinking you're going to go do anything except for relax because there's nothing there but the desert. But I needed it. And it was just my daughter and I, just the two of us in the desert. I felt like I should be singing that song, "Been on the desert through the horse." That one. Like, yeah, it was just desert. We saw tumbleweed and all kinds of stuff, but it was beautiful. I felt like I was on Mars because everything was red. So I do try to take one vacation a year, but this year I'm gonna try to do a little bit more vacationing.
These technical delays.
I know, right?
We want to thank you so much for enlightening our audience about this program starting on February 4th. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So February 4th. Okay. And they can find out more. Give us the website again.
Sure. It's UpSkill To Uplift.com. UpSkill To Uplift.
UpSkill To
Uplift.com. You'll find out about the Chatbot Engineering program, Chatbot Engineering. You'll also find out about the Solopreneur program. And if you want to come to the Georgia AI Summit, it's the Georgia AI Summit. That's January 19th, GeorgiaAISummit.com.
All right. Thank you. And as always, thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen.
Yes, well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.